Welcome friends, in this one let's talk about a 2x2 projection matrix. So let's just motivate this concept first. Imagine the following situation. You have a coordinate system, okay? So you have a coordinate system here. And imagine within here you have a point. Now a point like this is in two-dimensional space. It's got coordinates x sub 1 followed by, say, x sub 2. Whatever they happen to be, 2, 5, and so on. What we would like to do is simply extract one of these coordinates, the first coordinate. That means essentially we want to take this and project down to the x-axis. In other words, to just where it says x sub 1. So how can we do that? Well, what we can do is we can set up a matrix that looks like the following. So a 2x2 matrix. And then in the first column, what you input is the unit vector that looks like this, 1, 0. In other words, what that is talking about, it's as if you had a unit vector along this axis right here. So a unit vector, remember, has length 1. That's why there's a 1 right like this. 1 ends in 0, you see? And this unit vector has no y component, so there's a 0 in that position. And then from there, the other one would be just a 0 followed by a 0 because we want to eliminate x sub 2 when we project down to the horizontal axis. And then from there, what you want to do is just multiply this by the vector x sub 1, x sub 2. So that would look like basically a 2 by 1. You specify x sub 1 followed by x sub 2. And then you can do this in a couple different ways. A way to do that is to simply take this x sub 1 and distribute it over to the 1 and the 0. So it look like this, x sub 1. And then there you would have a 2 by 1. So this would be 1 comma 0. When you write it in this form, I think it's pretty clear that what this is essentially doing, this step that you see on the screen, is that it's taking this vector that goes from 0 to 1, and because you're multiplying by x sub 1, what it's essentially doing is that it's forming a scalar multiple of the unit vector that brings you up to x sub 1. And that's also why for x sub 2, when you do the 2 by 1 part here, there has to be a 0 followed by a 0. Because you don't want to take any multiples of the unit vector along the vertical axis, because you want to eliminate x sub 2. So that's why it's got to be 0, 0. And then you just work on this. So this would be now, here you distribute the x sub 1, so this would be 2 by 1, so this would be x sub 1, and this here would be 0. Plus, distribute over the x sub 2, so that would be a 2 by 1, that's 0, followed by a 0. And then you just add them up. So x sub 1 plus 0, it's going to give you a 2 by 1, which is x sub 1. And on the bottom, 0 plus 0 is equal to 0. And that shows that this basically gets you x sub 1, which is a projection of x sub 2, x sub 1 from the two-dimensional space to the line down below. Please leave a like and subscribe. I'll see you in the next video.